Hello and welcome into another edition of State of the Sun Devils alongside Jesse Morrison and Mitch Vareldis. I'm Jeremy Schnell. A lot to talk about this week. We will get to some of the Michael Crow stuff in a little bit. Obviously, he sat down with KTAR's Mike Broomhead for the Amazing Arizonans podcast. But within that podcast, he talked a little bit about the Apple deal, the football program, both men's and women's basketball. So we will get to that in a little bit. But let's start off by going into the QB competition a little bit, guys. Kenny Dillingham obviously made a pretty interesting statement coming from practice the other day.
Very interesting.
Unfortunately, Drew Pine did suffer a hamstring injury at Camp T. I think that was in the scrimmage, guys.
Yeah.
So it's down to 2, I believe.
Down to 2 by default,
yeah.
Kind of, in a sense. We haven't heard a word about Jacob Conover in the past few weeks, months, etc. So feels like by default it's a 2-horse race between the guy that was here last year in Trenton Bourget and the very high-praised freshman incomer in Jaden Rashada, and I'm very curious to see how it pans out, although I'm pretty sure how Jesse knows how it's going to pan out because he's.
Well, I don't really know how it's going to pan out
because now Rashada has been playing really well as of late.
Apparently,
yeah. That's what I've been seeing at least.
So, here's the thing. Here's what I've seen at the practice that I was at. Now, I do want to say that the reports out of camp yesterday at their scrimmage at Sun Devil Stadium was that Jaden Rashada hit a 50-yard throw. That was, basically like everybody was going crazy about that. But on Monday, Tuesday when I was there.
Days mixed together sometimes during football camp.
Correct, yes. Tuesday when I was there, it was Trenton for me. Like 100% Trenton for me.
And you're not being biased, like you because I know you've been saying all along that you think it's going to be Trenton. You're not being biased here. Can you go away from it a little bit in your head and go back and think about what you saw on Tuesday and say maybe Rashada had a few good throws, maybe he did this?
Yeah, I mean there was a few good throws, few good moments that I saw from Rashada, but overall I think Bourget is the guy. And it's not because Rashada is necessarily bad. I just think that Trenton Bourget is the more accurate quarterback. Obviously, Rashada has the bigger arm strength and can, throw it down the field. But when a lot of those throws go over the head of his receivers, he's not as just sharp as Trenton Bourget is. Trenton Bourget doesn't have a great arm. I'm just going to say that. Does not have a great arm. That is evident. It will be a dink and dunk offense with Trenton Bourget. But I would take that and accuracy over, 57% completion percentage and a few big plays every now and then, because a few big plays every now and then isn't really going to move your offense down the field on a regular basis. It's going to be a couple home runs here and there, unless you really just have an unbelievable running game, which I think ASU will have a good rushing attack. I mean, Sean Aguano has been known to have really good rushing attacks, but from what I saw on Tuesday, it's Trenton for me. He's just much more accurate. But again, yesterday, report out of camp was that he threw an interception off his back foot. So I don't know. I'm not the coach. I just think that from what I have seen in spring and now the couple times that I've been out for fall, Bourget is just a little bit ahead of Rashada. Now, I would love Rashada because I think it would be great to have this 4-star quarterback come in and start for ASU, but you've got to go with the best guy. It doesn't matter how highly rated someone was. You have to go with the best quarterback, and I think the best quarterback is Trenton Bourget.
I mean, if they end up going with Rashada, it's kind of equivalent to, sometimes what we see in the NFL where a team will draft a rookie quarterback. Maybe it's not the first overall pick, but it's somewhere in the draft that it's high enough and significant enough that everybody's excited about them bringing in. Like, for example, maybe Tennessee with bringing Will Levis in this year. You're not expecting it to happen immediately, like with Rashada here at ASU, but we're going to be darn excited if Rashada does become the starting quarterback for ASU. Maybe a little nervous, maybe a little tepid, but he brings in kind of an aura that I think has been missing, particularly from the ASU quarterback room for quite a few years. I mean, I can't remember the last time I felt this good about a quarterback. Probably Jaden Daniels' first year was the last time I felt this good about an ASU quarterback.
Here's what I'll say about the quarterback situation as a whole, and when it comes to Jaden Rashada, the team, I think we both, all three of us know that the team isn't going to be great this year, right? It's not going to be the best year. It's not going to be. It's not going to be as bad as last year. I'll say they could get to 6 wins, right? But I don't want to throw a freshman quarterback into the fire this early into his college career and get him demoralized so early into his college career. The offensive line isn't great. His weapons are great, right? But is he going to have time to get to those weapons? And how is he going to feel when the team is losing a little bit? You know, like, is he going to get down on himself? Is he going to? So we want his confidence to be sky high going into next season when we think this team can start to compete, especially when they go into the Big 12, Jesse.
ASU could go like 6-6 this year, 5-7. So I don't necessarily think, Jeremy, that his confidence is going to get necessarily, damaged by playing this year. I don't think that's. I think if anything, it's going to help him. But
what about the offensive line? That's the problem.
That's where I'm going.
I don't want him to get hurt. I don't want Bourget to get hurt. Don't get me wrong, but
this is the conversation that I wanted to have. Offensive line does not look good. It does not look good.
Is that what you saw at practice the other day specifically?
Correct.
Okay.
So we're not chalking it up to it's early. We're not chalking it up to
no.
It's just a bummer that they don't have.
I mean, they lost Ladarius Henderson, who was the key piece of this offensive line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that we could see Trenton, we could see Rashada, we could see Pine down the line
when he gets back from injury.
Just because I hate to break it to you guys, and I hate to say this, and I hate this because it's just awful for the kids, but there could be some injuries to the quarterback this year, unfortunately.
Well, if they don't play carefully, sure, but at the same time,
well, I mean, if a defensive lineman just blows by the offensive tackle and just hits the quarterback and they break a rib.
Yeah, I mean that happens, but here's the here's the thing.
Football. It's violent. It's what you do. It's what you sign up for.
Exactly.
When you think about the offense that Kenny Dillingham's bringing in, you think that he's not going to think about, my offensive line isn't that not the best.
Establish the run.
Establish the run
end up doing.
A little bit.
For sure.
Get some short passes out there, especially with the weapons that they have out there.
For sure, but
with Tyson and with Badger, like.
For sure, but if that's why, again, Bourget, I think, is the best option here, is because they're not going to have a lot of time to throw the ball down the field. So it's going to be get your playmakers out there in space and let them go to work. It's not going to be these like deep Hail Mary passes that it looks like is more of Rashada's game.
That's a good point. It's a very good point.
Even going all the way back to the spring game, Jesse, I remember when we were there, you had mentioned it, the football IQ and the playing ability above the shoulders, specifically in here.
Yeah.
And how Bourget has that a little bit more than the rest of the quarterback room.
And that's not to knock any of the other quarterbacks. They're young. They're young compared to him.
It's just an emphasis on Bourget already understands this offense, even though it's a completely new regime outside of one coach.
He understands college football, basically.
He understands what he's in for. And with the shrinking O-line protection, you understand as a quarterback that has been at ASU for as long as Trenton has, that you probably won't have as much time to establish a passing attack. To your point, Jesse, about dink and ducks and short passes and not having to worry about those deep air threats, even though you do have that option, if you do get enough protection, like Elijah Badger can burn a dude down the field.
Exactly.
If he gets outside looks.
Exactly.
It's probably not going to happen all that much, but when it does, he's ready for it.
I just wanted to add one more thing on this topic that I noticed on Tuesday. I was also there the first day of camp, July 31st, and Trenton still looked like he was struggling with those throws outside the numbers. On Tuesday, his outside throws looking pretty good. So that's something that I noticed was a step up for Mr. Bourget.
There also, you got to think about the amount of reps that these quarterbacks get.
Yeah.
Tuesday, they're coming off a little bit of a break. He comes in, he's sharp. Maybe July 31st, he had been throwing a little bit. Before that, leading up to that, his arm could be sore. That's something that we never talk about when it comes to these quarterbacks. Their arm, they'd have to throw a lot.
Thing that throws the ball.
They have to throw a lot. You would think that they would get sore every once in a while. So they're human as well. So you got to look at that.
Oh, and I do have one more thing to say as well. I think the fan base wants Rashada. 100% think the fan base wants Rashada. But again, just trust that the coaches are picking the best quarterback, because I think that whoever they go with is probably going to be who they've seen is the best. Again, I've been at 2 practices. If it's not Rashada though, I'm sure there's a reason. So don't lose your minds over that.
First game 2 weeks, right? Southern Utah.
2 weeks
here,
from today.
2 Thursdays from now.
2 weeks from today, which is great, because
And then a week from today, Kenny Dillingham says we will know the starting quarterback for that game.
Yep.
Exciting.
So emergency pod.
Definitely pod.
We're probably going to pod anyway that Thursday.
Yeah. Well, we probably can't do it at 8:30 in the morning.
I don't know how much of an emergency it'll be, but
It'll be an
definitely
emergency.
Be a pod.
It's the biggest pod of the offseason. Who names the starting quarterback? Or who is the starting quarterback?
All right, you sold me.
Sold
me.
Now let's get to the big news of the week so
Speaking of
far.
getting sold on something.
So we all talked about the TV deals. We did multiple episodes on the TV deals and also, what could be, what is going to happen, Big 12, Pac-12, all that. So last Friday, I was able to go and shoot a podcast with Mike Broomhead, who sat down with Michael Crow, the president of ASU. If you didn't know that, why are you listening to this? I'm just kidding.
No, don't scare him away, Jeremy.
Wow, Jeremy.
Michael Crow is the president of Arizona State University, if you did not know that. But he basically said that, I don't know, he talked about why the Apple deal didn't happen.
We had what I thought was a great offer from Apple. Most of the fan base didn't think it was a great a great deal, but I don't think they knew that much about it. So basically what the Apple deal was Apple would spend $500 million in the first year to take all the football games, all the men's basketball games, and all the women's basketball games in the Pac-12, digitally capture them and make them available to everyone. And you could play the games whenever you wanted to play them. That's a huge, huge, huge thing. And all of the data from those games would be available. So you could zoom in on Mike Broomhead, the player. You could zoom in on, great plays. You could be watching all the games at the same time if you wanted. There was going to be a fee for that, and that was the big uncertainty. And then a guarantee of a certain price, a certain income to the schools, and then a joint partnership going forward of anything above the guarantee would be a 50-50 split. So from my perspective, you kept the Pac-12 together as a regional conference, and then you'd have this whole new way to broadcast digitally all of your content. Most of us thought that was a pretty good deal, including me. Along the way, others didn't think that was a good deal. Maybe that Apple shouldn't do that. And so at the last second, the Big Ten, working, I would guess, with their media groups, picked off 2 teams.
Yeah. So when I first heard that, I was like, kind of sounds cool. The Apple deal kind of sounds cool. I kind of would have liked that. Just to be able to go to one place. I don't have to worry about where my Pac-12 football is going to be. If it's going to be on ESPN, if it's going to be on Fox, if it's going to be on CBS, if it's going to be on
YouTube.
Pac-12 network.
It's the same place every single week.
It'd be the same place every single week. So I was like, that's cool. I could watch multiple games at the same time. Put say there's 6 Pac-12 games on at the same time. I throw all those 6 games on, and I'd be rolling. But then Mitch was like, the fee is on top of the Apple TV Plus subscription.
Yeah, it's not like the Amazon Prime deal for Thursday Night Football that if you have Amazon Prime, you can just watch Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, that's lame.
Which is the whole emphasis of why the subscription model stuck out to many people as to that being an incentivizing thing for the universities. I don't understand why he keeps going back. Well, I do understand, but he keeps mentioning, without mentioning, the whole Washington and Oregon departure as a big reason for why they ended up not doing the deal and leaving. Look, if you liked the deal, you could have stayed on this ship that has a ton of holes in it and is treading water right now.
I think, Mitch, the Apple deal was only contingent on if they had those 10 teams.
I mean, we don't know that for sure. I'm certain that Apple probably came forward and said, hey, we're going to do this. And there's a lot of uncertainty around what's going on here, but we're going to give you this.
But they were probably like, you need to have Washington and Oregon. Right? Like, you would think that was a big deal to Apple in this scenario.
So
you need that Seattle and Portland market.
You want those markets.
Those two markets.
I get it. The Cupertino company, small business, the mom and pop shop, they need as many markets as they can get.
Fresno State and San Diego State not going to move the needle, unfortunately.
I just wanted to say, Fresno State. San Diego, I mean, that's a good market. Fresno, not so much, but maybe add San Jose State.
Their alumni base is not as big as Washington and Oregon, unfortunately.
Adding San Jose State was a joke, by the way. There's no way that would ever happen.
I don't know. Now it might.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, like
who knows what they're going to do.
In the previous installment of when the Pac-12 was a Power 5 conference. No, but I just wanted to take it back one more time to the whole subscription-based thing and how I'd have to pay another fee. Y'all, I got a cool job here. This is great. Everything. I don't make very much money. Sports journalism, just not the best paying field. I ain't paying for that. I would just go to a sports bar or something and watch the game. I wouldn't pay for that. So yeah, you lost a customer with me. So yeah, whatever.
Bring your pen and pad with you to the bar as
pretty much.
You're pulling up with your ice water.
Yep.
As you're doing your.
Yep. 100%. Just do my notes.
Or you would just come to the station.
Yep, or come to the station. I would not.
Which is even more free than going to a restaurant.
Would we pay for it? Would we pay for it at the station? That was my question.
Here's the thing. I'm not going to assume that Dr. Crow is trying to save face and emphasizing how good this deal was, especially on the heels of the report that was out there of how ESPN offered, and we talked about it last week, offered the $30 a year for the schools. And the presidents went back to George Kliavkoff and said, no, ask for 50. And ESPN said, bye-bye. This is a very interesting way to go about trying to emphasize a deal that's not nearly as enticing as an ESPN deal would have been.
And I would, maybe if they had gone back and said, hey, 35, but 50? What are you doing? Does any conference make $50 million a school?
Apparently, there was
SEC.
another report that came out yesterday that the math on how much the Pac-12 thought they should have been getting was done by a professor at one of the universities.
Sounds about right.
Sounds a little biased to me.
If you're going to one professor to determine the value of 10 universities, I think you got to figure out a new method of calculating your value.
I mean, my professors were big into the football team as well, so I don't know if they would have been the best people to go to.
It almost just sounds like a situation of you and a buddy, you're at a bar, and you're telling the guy, oh, I got this job offer, and it was for $50K a year. And your buddy says, no, dude, you're worth way more than that. You should ask for $100K.
Do you know how much ASU football means to me?
Do you know what it means to be a UCLA Bruin, bro? Like,
Wait, hold on. We have a new character on the show. It's surfer professor dude that teaches at UCLA.
Dude, you're worth way too much for that. You're worth way too much for that, dude.
Surfer Professor Dude at UCLA is a pending trademark of the State of the Sun Devils podcast via Arizona Sports, the local sports leader.
my biggest takeaway from this is some of the people that are commenting on the video that we shared yesterday on Arizona Sports about that specific quote that Michael Crow had right there. They're like, he obviously hasn't heard of streaming before. No, he was excited about the specific deal in terms of you can zoom in on a certain player, zoom in on certain highlights. It's all there. It's all this and that.
The capabilities,
the small features
that you can get.
Yes, Amazon has some of those features for Thursday Night Football. We've seen that. We've seen the tracking technology that Amazon has.
Yep.
I just go on collegefootballreference.com.
But again, that is somewhat new. He's not talking specifically about archived footage. He knows about archived footage. Trust me, Michael Crow knows about all that stuff. It's just he was excited about the specific details that went into the Apple deal. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. And to Gambo's point that he made yesterday on the show Mitch produces, Burns and Gambo show in the afternoons, that's 2 to 6 on Arizona Sports, the local sports leader.
Sick plug, thank you.
He made a point that stop talking about your ex-girlfriend.
Please stop talking about her.
That's basically what they're doing. That's basically what Michael Crow's doing. He's like, man, she would have been really nice to me, but
her favorite color was always blue.
Yeah, exactly.
I've had some conversations about that stuff with Jeremy.
About favorite color being blue or the ex-girlfriend?
No, being hung up on ex relationships. Yeah.
You're outing yourself today, huh?
What?
Yeah.
Am I?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're the third character we're about to invent, Jesse's love life character.
No, that's just my real authentic self, Mitch.
On the next episode of State of the Sun Devils, come to Jesse's therapy session. Let's play this other cut from Michael Crow before we start to wrap this up. He was talking about just the football program in general and how he feels about the state of it right now.
I hold everyone accountable for all kinds of outcomes, and so net, we've made huge progress in athletics. We now have to make progress in football. We have fired 2 coaches in the last several years. That's been very expensive. This coach, Coach Dillingham, young, kind of a savant in football. I mean, people are talking about him as if he's a prodigy, and so we'll see if prodigy can happen here. And in basketball, men's basketball, we are making serious progress. In women's basketball, new coaches, and if you look at all of our sports, where we are, where we're doing, people are concentrating, and I think disappointed about football.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so am I.
So have you all heard the Jerry Jones cut when they asked him about DeAndre Hopkins?
No.
Refresh my memory.
Yeah.
Good.
He was like, he just like fumbled around his words and said something like, probably not. He was like, probably not. That cut right there gives me those vibes because
where he's like, women's basketball, new coaches.
Women's that's what he said about the women's basketball program is just new coaches. What is that like? What do you mean by that? And then the men's basketball
cut part of that.
What?
Yeah, he said that they feel like they're moving in a good direction. They lost their entire starting lineup except for one player.
And again, they won't address the arena situation. They're just keeping it the same.
Yeah. That's my bad for not asking him the question about the Desert Financial Arena, guys. My fault.
Well, he's answered it before, and he would give you the same answer.
We're always working to upgrade our facilities.
Yeah,
probably.
And then the football stuff, like he got that somewhat right. Like Kenny Dillingham is supposed to be a prodigy and that kind of thing. So.
That kind
prodigy,
of
but
thing.
it's also kind of a project, right? Like you're starting from fresh, you're bringing in an alum, right, to run your football program, but it's the first time he's running a football program of any kind at the head coaching level. Like I understand his optimism, and what he's supposed to go up there and say, I just don't think we're going to be.
No. That's what I'm saying. I mean, the optimism's good for football, like that's good. But the parts that he mentioned in the basketball teams, I was just like,
well, they got a few months to get everything together.
Sure,
it's coming. Basketball always comes up on you. You're like.
By the way, did you see the announcement of the game they're going to be playing?
Yeah, TCU
Long Beach Classic.
Mm-hmm.
Revenge!
Yeah! We were up by how many points in the second half and blew it? 11?
I blocked it out of my memory. I'm still haunted by the last second tip-in shot. Like, ugh.
And yes, Jesse, I said we because I went to the school.
Our new Big 12 rival, TCU. I'm calling it now. At least in basketball.
That is something that we can think about.
Neutral journalist over here.
Speaking about State of the Sun Devils getting angry every time someone says something about your school is not neutral journalism.
I am completely neutral.
Let Jesse stay neutral, but
neutral journalist.
There's something. I'm sorry to bring it off, but there's something developing. It would seem like. So we talked last week about Jake Smith and his eligibility supposedly getting denied by the NCAA. Looks like the NCAA has not had enough. At least that's what we're assuming right now. So this tweet is from Xavier Alford, one of the new cornerbacks for ASU. He tweeted out at 6:57 this morning on August 17th, which we're recording, in all caps, punishing kids for leaving a school who didn't want them and funneled them into depression during their lowest points in life is sad. Quote tweeted by the great people at Devil's Digest to do a good job covering the team. Much like wide receiver Jake Smith, ironically another USC transfer who ended up at ASU, the Sun Devil safety may also be deemed ineligible for this year by the NCAA, which is extremely unfortunate. And I can't help but wonder why the NCAA cares so darn much about all of a sudden implementing rules that they just created.
They're
Because-
using ASU as an example.
Here's why they're doing this. Because they don't really have very much power in any other aspect anymore, except for like controlling their tournaments in.
Is Mark
the
Emmert
spring.
still in charge?
No, I
Oh,
don't
thank
believe
goodness.
so. I don't believe so. I
riddance
could
to
be
him.
wrong. But they just want to be controlling. I don't know if y'all ever had those teachers in school. That I don't know why we've talked so much about teachers and professors and stuff, and we'll talk more about that
UCLA
actually.
Cal Surfer bro teach. Bro.
Yeah, but like I don't know if y'all ever had those teachers that like were really like strict for no reason, and
Yeah,
You were nothing but nice to them, and then they'd just be mean to you.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or like
it's because they had tenure.
Jesse, were you a teacher's pet?
I was not. I was kind of
Mitch?
just neutral.
Teacher's pet?
Every teacher loved me except for the ones that screamed.
Mitch was
I used-
definitely a teacher's pet.
I used to, so
my
my
pet, but I was just a good student.
There was a semester where the first class of the day I had my lacrosse coach, so I'd show up late and bring him a coffee.
Jeez. Yeah, that's one I wouldn't have.
That adds up over time, Jeremy. I just hope you realize that. This is why we're all in debt. It's because you had to bring a coffee because you showed up late for the first day of lacrosse.
Yeah, I
school.
feel like your coach would have gotten
was-
especially mad about that.
It was a philosophy class or something. I don't know.
Oh, speaking of
Jeremy,
classes, we'll talk more about.
Do you remember any of your like classes from your high school?
Maybe. I did watch, ironically enough, I did watch The Apprentice in econ class.
Like the Celebrity
The Apprentice?
Apprentice?
Yeah, no, the actual show, The Apprentice.
Yeah, like
Before Donnie T just brought in a bunch of celebrities.
Oh. Okay, got
yeah,
it.
Yeah, with like
He brought in like,
random people.
with actual business acumen.
Yeah, and he just
Got it.
fired them. Yeah.
got it. Okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
That's what I did in econ class.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Which back to your point about being in journalism, probably should have been learning more about the world and money and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but-
Jeremy. Good job. But no, the NCAA, they just want control. They want to punish kids. They're that teacher that when you ask to use the bathroom and you really have to go, they're like, why?
Yeah, it's not can I use the bathroom? It's may I use the bathroom?
Yeah, or like when they say, when you ask, can I use the bathroom? They say, I don't know, can you?
And my response is, you're the math teacher.
Yeah, so that's bad. We forgot to play one cut from Michael Crow, and I really did want to talk about this for a second.
All right, let's hear it.
This was about the possibility of ASU and U of A breaking up in this conference, realignment stuff.
Arizona and Arizona State, we are sisters, rivals with each other, jealous from time to time of each other, and we have all of the things that go on in real families. I mean, this is like a real family. You know, you love each other, you argue with each other, you stomp out sometimes, you know, but we had decided as a family that we were not separating. And so we made that decision a long time ago, Bobby Robbins and I, President Robbins and I. and that's the way that it went down.
Yeah, I would not say that U of A and ASU is a family. So I was on the field at the end of the Territorial Cup last year, and I was very just like disturbed by what I was hearing from the crowd. You know, there are some families, I guess, that are that dysfunctional, but I'm not sure about that. You know, there's dysfunction, and then there's like an extra like 10 on the scale of 1 to 10 of dysfunction, and if ASU and U of A are a family, they're at like a 10.5. And yeah, I don't know if I would ever call the rival school of the school that I went to a family member. I kind of just don't really, I kind of was taught to just not like them. In your family, you're kind of told to like this person. I don't like, or, you know, I
don't want to talk to Uncle Jim.
Yeah, like, but people are like, you know, be nice to Uncle Jim.
I don't want to share my toys with cousin Ronnie.
Exactly. But
Uncle Wildcat
this
or cousin
is what this is what happens.
Bob Bobbins.
This is what happens. If you go to ASU and you're a freshman at ASU and you say, I don't want to play with the Wildcats, they're like, good. That's encouraged here. So not a family, Mike. And not Mike Broomhead, Michael Crow. Doc.
We ain't fam, brah.
Okay, before we get out of here, unfortunate news. Eno Benjamin is out for the season.
Tough.
Torn Achilles. He was going to get a really good shot there.
Yeah. Alvin Kamara is suspended. He's on the Saints. So he would have gotten probably some opportunities to maybe even start for the Saints.
So that's tough. Also, we saw Valade got picked up by the Steelers?
Correct. Yep.
Yes.
After getting waived by Houston. So glad he quickly got back on his feet. And in a really good organization in terms of NFL organizations.
And NFL running backs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he gets to, you know, just kind of be a backup there, which would be good for him.
Oh, and then Frank Darby got waived by Atlanta, too.
Yeah,
Did you
he's
see
hurt.
that? Mm-hmm.
He's hurt, too.
Yeah, my sister was really upset that she didn't get to see Frank Darby and because they were playing against Atlanta last week. The
Who
Dolphins.
does your sister work for?
The Miami Dolphins.
Okay, there you go.
So Frank Darby was did not travel with the team. It was really unfortunate.
Bummer. I hope he lands back on his feet.
He's so nice. He's such a good guy.
Again, this is Jesse being an unbiased journalist.
Loves his sweet tea.
Okay. No, I can say that somebody is a nice person.
Why do you know Frank Darby?
Because I covered him.
Because you went to?
I covered him for
As a
Devil's
free safety,
Digest.
Because you went to, if you didn't go to ASU, you would not have covered him for a Devil's Digest, right?
Probably not.
Okay.
No.
Trying to antagonize him, and I don't appreciate it.
But I don't know how that doesn't make me an
I'm afraid you're
unbiased.
going to forget about the most important story that has to do with ASU. But
Spencer Torkelson's on fire?
that's a good one.
Okay.
What is it? 4 home runs in the last 2 weeks?
6 home runs in the last 7 games.
Holy smokes, dude.
He's hitting 346 in those 7 games.
Yeah, here's the thing with Spencer Torkelson, and I wanted to touch on this. So far, his MLB career has kind of been disappointing.
It's been okay.
Yeah, it's been okay. But he now has a 21 home run season in Major League Baseball. He's sure going to add to that total before the season ends. And so he might not have been a number 1 pick yet, but he has for sure established himself as, you know, an everyday first baseman in Major League Baseball. So
Stud.
Props to Torque for making a name for himself.
Torque bombs.
He's getting there, if nothing else. Maybe an all-star next year. Who knows?
Maybe, maybe.
What did I miss, Mitch?
Okay. I had to bring this up.
Okay.
Because I was fascinated when I found out
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
the College of
How could
Liberal
I
Arts and
forget?
Sciences introduced a new course for the upcoming fall. And it's in the Psych building, I believe. And it's focused on it's focused on psychological concepts of Taylor Swift music.
Okay. Are you a Swiftie?
Not a Swiftie, but
Okay.
I'm just fascinated that
Well,
it has gotten to the point that Swift psychology, basically, is now being taught at ASU.
I took a Michael Jackson course just like that.
Did you really?
Yeah, at ASU.
Apparently, they're harder than you would expect.
Yeah, it was very tough. I got a C.
A C?
Yeah, it was a very tough class.
Yeah, apparently they're harder than you expect.
So you got a C?
That's going to do it for this edition
Well,
of...
Come on!
I had
didn't even get to the
takes.
best part.
I had takes on this class, okay?
Hit me. What you got?
Okay, my takes are that hopefully they're learning about the first 2 Taylor Swift albums, because the rest of her career was downhill from there.
Have you listened to Folklore and Evermore?
Well, that
have you listened to those? Are like your type of music, Jesse.
Lover is the best. Lover is her best song overall, but her first 2 albums are her best 2 albums.
This is ridiculous that you have not. You need to listen to Folklore and Evermore.
I've listened to it in passing. You know,
that's your type of music. You would like it.
But again, I'm saying Lover is her best song, recent song. But then her first 2 albums are, Tim McGraw, You Belong With Me. I mean, some classic songs. Love Story.
Please name a song that's not mainstream. Please.
Our song. Why do I need to name Taylor Swift songs that aren't mainstream?
Okay. Do you not like Cruel Summer?
I'm sure it's a fantastic song.
Do you not like The Man?
I'm sure The Man is a fantastic song.
Okay.
Do you
not like Lavender?
Why do all of these songs have one word names?
It's easy to remember.
Do you like Maroon? And Gold?
Look what he did. I did want to mention this because there's a quote from it's a PhD student, I believe, teaching it. It's a once-a-week course. Her name is Alexandra Warmley. And she says the course is basically using Taylor Swift as a semester-long example of different phenomena, being gossip, relationships, and revenge. The class is not a seminar on how much we like or dislike her. We want to be able to learn about psychology. I just think it's fascinating that with the phenomena that Taylor Swift has been and now become and elevated herself to, the fact that it's being taught at ASU says something. But there's bad news. Pointed out by one of our favorites, Paula Bovin, the great over at the Cronkite
What's the
School.
bad news?
Sci498 topic, Psychology of Taylor Swift, has no remaining open seats.
Oh, no, I can't imagine why.
I couldn't go back to school and do it anyway.
Here's the problem.
I'd have to re-enroll.
I don't want to do that.
Here's the problem with Taylor Swift. Her fans have gone...
Well, hold on. There's a problem with Taylor Swift?
Wait. Do not say what you're about to say.
Yeah, careful,
the Swifties will come after you.
I don't care. Swifties come after me.
Oh, no.
Here's the problem. Their fans have gone a bit too far. It's become their identity. Don't let a fandom of a musician become your identity. That's my advice to anyone. I like Taylor Swift, though. Disclaimer, I like Taylor Swift.
Get that out there in ink.
It was one of the best concerts I've ever been to. Highly recommend it.
Sure it was, but it doesn't have to become your identity, Jeremy.
No, I agree. I need to say this so the Swifties don't come after us. It's a great concert. 3 hours. She must train like a professional athlete the way she goes through that concert. It's insane. She's running around the stage. She's dancing, not skipping a beat. 2 surprise songs per show, Jesse. 2 surprise songs per show. And it's over 3 hours long. You get your money's worth if you go to see a Taylor Swift concert.
She's doing like back-to-back nights, too.
She did like 4 nights in a row in LA.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
And
church is better.
She's in Mexico City this week.
Will you be careful with your words, please? What is Justin going to think when he gets to this point in the pod and he says, What is Jesse doing? Dissing Taylor Swift
Justin,
like this?
Is Justin Prestegard our esteemed
He's our boy.
fan? Is he a big Swiftie? Let us know.
Yeah, Justin, if you're a Swiftie, add us if you could, please. Thank you.
I don't know if there's anything. Oh, this is very important. It's Give-a-thon week, guys. This is a big week here at Arizona Sports and KTAR News. We get together in the middle of August every year to make sure that Phoenix Children's gets the money that they deserve, basically. And if you do donate and become a champion of hope, that makes it so that a child at Phoenix Children's can get a teddy bear and some stickers. We'd really appreciate it if you go check it out on arizonasports.com or ktar.com. You can text the word give to 620 620 and just go from there as well in order to make some of these kids, happy, because some of the things that they have to go through, it's not fun. And if we can make their day every once in a while, that's just what it's all about. So please, if you can, please go check that out on arizonasports.com.
Yeah, you can also call 602 602-933-4567 to donate. 602-933-4567.
And also, big news this morning. We eclipsed $1 million in donations this week.
Let's go.
So that is huge. We'll continue to do that throughout the next couple days, and we'll keep you updated on that. But that's going to do it for this edition of State of the Sun Devils. Thank you so much for joining us. For Mitch Ferreldis and Jesse Morrison, I'm Jeremy Schnell. We'll talk to you soon.